Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be walking through a Drupal install of version 7, of the latest version of version 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by, I think you can go to download and extend or get the code, yep. And then you've got to go to older versions. So we're going to be going to this right here. So Drupal project page right here. And you can see that the Drupal core 7.56 is right here, and that's the one you want. So I think you have to click in, and then we're gonna have to pick a file. So I'm gonna be downloading the tar.gz. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be right-clicking this because I want the so that shows you the FTP location. So I'm gonna copy the link location because we're gonna use that in wget on the remote server. So let's do that now. So I've outlined a bit of our basic of our steps, and we're going to add some steps during the Drupal install here. But we're going to start out with this command right here. So that's the link that I clicked, that I copied. So I'm just going to copy this command here. So it's sudo wget, and I'm going to put this in the video notes so you can copy it as well. But make sure you go and get the latest version when you do this video. So in 3 or 4 months, this will be updated probably. So make sure you get the latest version, because that has security fixes. So I'm going to be switching to my terminal here, and I'm just going to download it right into my Apache web server root. So this is Apache 2, the latest version as of this video, and it's running on Ubuntu, which is at 16.04, I think. So we're just going to paste in our command. And sorry, I'm not typing if that bothers you. I don't know if, different things bother different people, but one of the things that bothers me is an excessive amount of typing in videos. So that's our command. So we're just going to do a wget, and you'll see that it's gotten it. And because this is code, it's not very big, but that's it. We're done with that. So our next step is to uncompress it. So we're going to be uncompressing it into the directory that it comes with this command. And these are commands that just make the tar do what I want, into the correct directory and all that stuff. And you can look up tar with man if you want, the man tar. So if you do man space tar, you'll get to tar options. So you see I've unzipped it. So now I'll have a directory that has Drupal 7. This is my compressed file, and you see I've done it already, so I ended up with 2. And then my 7.56 here. So now the site I'm going to be put into it is, I always indicate my sites with 3 letters. It's just the way I like to do things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this Drupal 7.56 into my target directory, which is going to be SMS. So let's see that command here. So I've copied that here. You'll notice it's also a sudo here because I'm working in a directory that's not mine. So now I'm just going to paste that in there. And you see, so now when I list the directories, you'll see that I no longer have this directory, but I have this one. So if I wanted to do another file, or if I wanted to do another web server, I could simply, or another site, I could simply unzip this again and copy it to a different one. So now if we browse into SMS, you'll see that the Drupal files are in there. So at this point, the next step will be to change the ownership of these to the web server, the user that owns the web server property, so it has access to those files. So let's do that now. So let's copy this and move to our command prompt. And I'm just going to paste that in. So sudo to run as the admin or root. And chmod is to change mod. So it's not, there you go. So it's ch. So it's chown, not mod. So it's change owner. So we're going to go down into -r is to go down into the directories. So we want to change everything in the SMS directory, and we're going to give it to the user www.data, and the owner or the group is www.data as well. Oops. So I was in the directory, so that won't work. Let's try it again. So that changed it. So now when we LSL, you'll see that SMS is owned by data. I got to change those too. And if we go into SMS, you'll see Now you may get some results that it works if you don't change this, but you're going to eventually run into permissions problems if the Apache server doesn't own it. So now when we do LSL, you'll see that they're all owned by www.data. So that's it for that. For installing the files. Now we just got to do the setup. So now to edit the sms.conf. So SMS is my site, is my initials for my site. So we're going to be editing the conf file in sites available. So we can just to create a brand new one, you can do this, but I don't recommend that. I recommend that you either copy it from the default or from one that already exists. So we're going to actually first of all change to the sites available. So it's Apache, and if you hit tab, it will autocomplete, and then it's sites available. Nope. So there's that. So learn tab autocomplete is very valuable. So these are the sites I have on my server so far. So if you don't have any, you can just copy the default.conf. I'm going to copy my rfk.conf because I already have that site. So I'm just going to, I think I'll have to do a sudo copy rfk.conf to sms.conf. Now I'm not sure, but I don't think it matters who owns these because it's just going to, Apache just reads them, it doesn't write them. So now we are going to do this, we're going to edit this sms.conf. So let's look at our command there. And it's just simply, I use Nano as my editor. You could use Vim or whatever, or Gedit if you're graphic connected to your server. So I'm just going to copy this command and paste it here. So you can see sudo nano, and then I've done a full site, but you could also do, or actually this command won't work because it would have to be, so that was kind of silly. I guess it would have to be that. So, but I don't have to do the directory at all because I'm currently located there. So basically all I'm going to have to change in is, so if you're a spammer, don't worry, this just goes to nowhere. So all I'm going to have to change is wherever it says rangefinder kit, I'm going to be changing to Sussex Makerspace. So I'll type that in there. And then when you're in the remote terminal, you can, with your mouse, you can highlight stuff and copy, use your either Windows or whatever, you can copy and paste. But you won't be able to just paste like this. You have to move to it. You have to edit it first, and then you can paste. So that's just, how it works in that regard. Oh, I did just notice that all this stuff is going to be wrong because my RFK is internal, but I've got rfk.com. That ain't gonna work, or it'll go to somebody we don't want it to. So this has to be changed to SMS. So for Drupal, you have to add the directory index.php, and you're gonna have to add it. You want to add it to your virtual host, so it doesn't apply that to any other hosts on your server. And then you need the allow override. All you need is for it's for the renaming. I'm forgetting what it's called. I'll remember and tell you. So that's it. That's it for the virtual host file. That'll take care of that. So you can just save that. So to save it, I do Control O and Enter, and then Control X to exit Nano. And so now we're going to have to do the server restart. So the next thing we need to do is do the restart. So to restart the web server, and this is the Apache 2, you can do it two ways. First, we want to enable the site, so we're going to use the a2 site command. And what that basically does is that just copies. let's go over to that first. So let's do sites. What is it? Sites. I'm forgetting. So let's go up. And it's sites enabled. That's it. So sites, we're going to go in there, and you'll see that basically I have two configurations: the default and the RFK. So I need to actually disable the default because I don't want a default server. So a2 site will will let us, and I think I'll need to do a sudo, will copy basically the sms.conf from sites available to sites enabled. So that's all it does. So you need to do the service reload, Apache 2 reload to actually for Apache to read the site's enabled directory. So we're going to do that, and you'll see that I've said you can do service Apache. I do restart or I do stop and start because for some reason reload doesn't always work, or it doesn't. The changes don't always seem to take effect. But your mileage may vary on that. You may have never experienced that. So first, we're going to do a config test to see if we made any obvious mistake, and I usually do. Oh, I didn't that time. Okay. So I didn't make any syntax mistakes. It doesn't mean I didn't type in a domain wrong like I did on my other one. So now we're going to do a service restart. I imagine the rfk.com owner hasn't gotten any email that was meant for me because my site doesn't have any traffic. Oh, no, not config test. We want to do restart. Oh, so this is wrong right here. So it's restart here or reload. I'm not sure. So we're just going to do really screwing this up. So what I wanted to have here was sudo service apache 2, and I think you can do a restart. So the other commands are stop, start. You wouldn't do them all in one line like this, but like that. So let's do this. So we're going to do Apache 2, and I'm going to go into my console, and we'll just paste that in. So the sudo service, it's giving us the without any verb. It's giving us what we can do. So we can do stop, start, graceful stop, restart, reload, force reload. So I tend to do a stop and a full start, which, it may, if you're on a high traffic site, that's probably not the thing to do. So that's it. That should have gotten our Apache 2 and Apache and our directories all set. So now we're just going to go to the website and see what we got going on there. So after restarting my Apache server with a working configuration, I typed in sussexmakerspace.com, and Drupal, realizing that you don't have a fully configured installation yet, forwards you to install.php. So I'm going to be selecting the standard install. You can select minimal if you need to do more specific customizations or whatnot. I'm going to select English. And you'll notice I just jumped right by verify requirements. It didn't. That's because I have all my requirements fulfilled. And I want to show you there can be some problems, like you need mod rewrite enabled, you need some PHP stuff. I'm not going to dig into the problems on this, but I do want to show you a website that that has a really careful installation tutorial on this. It's at DigitalOcean. How to install Drupal on Ubuntu 14.04 server with Apache. But so you can see, they go through everything. The SQL user database. They go through, you don't need to really do flush privileges, but most people do. Just installing PHP and everything like that. But, my video, presume that you can see some, you got to enable the rewrite mod. You've got to, so there's a lot of stuff that you might have to do, or it might already be done for you. So we're gonna not go into that. So, but that website is a resource if you don't meet any of these requirements. This can be very frustrating if you don't know how to fix them. So I suggest using that resource if you have to. So let's go in. We're going to create a database and a user, and it's going to be a user that's only going to access that database. So I'm going to go into my terminal. And we're going to go into the MySQL client, and I'm going to pause during that. So it's going to be MySQL, and I'm going to be connecting as root with a password. So when I enter that, it's going to ask me for my password. I'm going to pause so you don't hear me typing, because maybe you can hack that. So now I have a successful login to MySQL, and I just hit enter to clear the screen, because I don't know if there's no in the SQL client, there's no clear, like you can't clear the terminal that I know of, CLS, those are the commands I would try, but, so I just did that. So anyway, so what we're going to do first is we're going to create the database. So we're going to do create database SMS Drupal. So my naming convention is I do the application and then the specific uses of whatever that application is in the SQL database. And you can use whatever naming convention you want. So you know that this create database command is successful because you got one row affected. Now the next one, so we're going to create a user. So it's create user. So this isn't SQL. This is SDL. So it's DDL, data definition language. I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, so we're going to use this command, and don't use the words a good password. Put in a good password. You've been warned. So let's go to our terminal and add our user. So the one thing you'll know is that it's always frustrating me. Create user returns query OK, but 0 rows affected, even though SMS user has been added to a table. So to me, it should say 1 row affected, but you know, I'm not one of these super database guys. So what do I know? So and then the final thing is, so you can check this by using if you do use MySQL. So that's one of the system databases. Let me spell it right, use MySQL. So database is now the MySQL database, and if you select, let's do select user from user. So I'm selecting the user column from the user table in the MySQL database, and you'll see it lists all my users. So nothing, no rocket science here. I'm not really, these are always going to be in there, but you'll see SMS user is now listed. So the next thing we're going to do is grant privileges to the SMS Drupal database using the grant all right here. So grant all on SMS Drupal, so database name, and then if you wanted to, and we're just doing all tables. So this is database name and this is tables. So this will give all the privileges for the SMS user to the SMS Drupal. And you'd have to define it by host. So if I want to do this remotely, I have to add another user with the correct host. Or you could do star or %, I think is a wildcard. There is a wildcard. So the very same thing is queries OK, but 0 rows affected. So now if you wanted to see some of the grants, that's also in the user table database. So we can do a select command to get that. So the next thing we want to do is just quickly check that the user has privileges. So normally if it was just a server level privilege, I would check it from the user. But in this case, we need to check it from the database because it's a database level privilege. So we're going to select star from DB. So if it had tables, there would be table privileges. So there's a couple of different places you can check for privileges. So this lists my SMS user, and you see that it has all the privileges we need, except grant, because that's, you know, we didn't give it that level. So, but if we try to do this one, if we looked in from user, even though the user database has privileges, you're not going to see anything because it doesn't have that level of privileges. So it's going to, you know, it's saying it's got no privileges because it doesn't have them at that level. So if you describe, if we do a show tables, you'll see that there's a couple of different privilege tables in, and I talk about this because this is something that I think gets a lot of people hung up. You see there's table privileges, there's columns privileges, and then there's privileges in the user database right here, and then also in the DB, or the user table, and then in the DB table. So there's privileges all over the place, which is, you know, we need that, but it can be confusing. So, all right, so now that we've got this configured, let's try to put this in. So let's do SMS, and it's Drupal, and then the username was SMS user, and then the password was still a good password, which I'm going to reinstall this right after with different passwords. Save and continue, and that should take us to the installation profile if I did that all correctly, and I did. So now it's installing all the different things. Please ignore that I use LastPass, or actually you should use it LastPass. It's really awesome. So once the standard module installation is complete, You'll get to fill out some site-specific stuff, and I'm not going to walk you through this because I think these are very self-explanatory. They did a nice job of documenting things you need, and you're going to need to set it up as you like. And once that's done, you're done your Drupal installation. So I hope you enjoyed my video. I plan on doing more Drupal videos. I'm working on a Drupal 8, which I'm sad to say is much harder to install. Drupal 7 is very easy. But if you like these, please subscribe and like and comment, and make sure you click the alarm bell so that you get updated on new videos. And have a great day.